We live in an age of movement. Messages fly faster than thought. Borders blur. Between work and rest, truth and performance, who we are and who we pretend to be. And yet, somehow we feel lost, stuck in motion, running without arriving. In ancient Greece, there was a god who understood this perfectly. A god who ruled not the throne or the battlefield, but something far more essential: the threshold, the crossing, the space in between. His name was Hermes, and he has something to teach us about surviving a world that never stops moving. Hermes was born in a cave, hidden from Olympus, not in light, not in darkness, but in between. And on the very day of his birth, something extraordinary happened. He didn't wait to grow into power. He simply moved into it. He walked. He spoke. He lied. He stole Apollo's cattle. He invented the lyre from a tortoise shell, all before sunset. Hermes doesn't develop slowly. He adapts instantly. In psychological terms, he represents the part of your mind that learns quickly, changes strategy midstream, and survives by intelligence rather than force. He's the voice inside you that asks, "Who do I need to be in this moment?" And maybe that question makes you uncomfortable. Maybe it sounds manipulative, fake. But Hermes would ask you, is it false to adapt, or is it human? Hermes wears many faces. He shifts between them effortlessly, and this bothers us. We want people to be consistent, authentic, one clear thing. But Hermes asks, what if you're all of those things? In Jungian psychology, Hermes aligns with the persona, the mask we wear to function in the world. At work, you're professional. At home, you're vulnerable. With friends, you're playful. With your parents, you might regress into an old role you thought you'd outgrown. Are you being fake? No. You're being contextual. Here's Hermes' wisdom. You are not false because you change. You are human because you adapt. The danger doesn't come from wearing masks. It comes from forgetting there's someone beneath them. So ask yourself, when you're alone, when no one is watching, when you don't have to perform for anyone, who are you then? Hermes is a trickster, but not the destructive kind. In mythology, tricksters don't appear to cause chaos for its own sake. They appear when systems become rigid, when the rules have calcified into something that no longer serves life. They bend those rules, not to destroy, but to expose what's no longer working. In modern psychology, this is the ego disruptor, the part of you that questions fixed identity, resists being trapped in one role, refuses stagnation. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most stuck, when the story you'd been telling about yourself started to feel like a cage. That restlessness, that urge to break the pattern, that's Hermes knocking. And he's reminding you, not all chaos is pathological. Some chaos is necessary movement. Hermes is the messenger of the gods, and more than that, he's the god of language itself. He understands something deeply, urgently modern. Words create reality. In therapy, healing begins when experience becomes speakable, when you can finally name what happened to you, what you feel, what you need. In relationships, distance grows not from lack of love, but from loss of language. When you stop being able to translate your inner world to the person sitting across from you. In society, conflict escalates when communication collapses, when we stop listening for meaning and start listening for ammunition. Hermes governs all of it: speech and silence, interpretation and misunderstanding, persuasion and confusion. And he teaches us this hard truth. Communication is not about expressing your truth perfectly. It's about translation. What you say is never exactly what the other person hears. The question is, are you aware of the gap? Are you trying to bridge it, or have you given up entirely? One of Hermes's quietest roles is also his most profound. He guides souls to the underworld, not as a judge, not as a ruler, just as a companion. He doesn't decide if you're worthy. He doesn't fix your pain. He doesn't promise you'll come out the other side unchanged. He just walks beside you. In modern terms, Hermes is the guide through grief that doesn't end, depression that won't lift, identity loss when the person you are no longer fits, transitions that feel like small deaths, and what he offers is not hope, not solutions, just safe passage. Sometimes, the most compassionate thing someone can do for you isn't fixing your pain. It's sitting with you while you move through it. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is stop demanding that you heal faster, that you know the answer, that you become someone new by tomorrow. Hermes teaches us, you don't have to rush the crossing, you just have to keep moving. If Hermes existed today, he'd rule social media feeds and therapy rooms, airports and negotiation tables, dreams and identity shifts, the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And he'd ask you some uncomfortable questions. Are you moving consciously or just reacting? Are you communicating or performing? Are you adapting to survive or abandoning yourself to please? Because here's his warning. Speed without meaning becomes anxiety. Connection without depth becomes noise. Movement without direction becomes exhaustion. You can be Hermes quick, Hermes clever, Hermes adaptive. But if you lose the thread of why you're moving, you'll end up nowhere. Hermes stands at every doorway, between past and future, between certainty and doubt, between who you were and who you are becoming. He doesn't tell you which path to take. He teaches you how to cross. And that might be the most important skill you can learn in a world that demands constant motion. Not how to move faster, but how to stay present in transition, how to stand at the threshold and breathe, to ask, what is this crossing asking of me? Because growth doesn't happen in destinations. It happens between them, in the waiting, in the uncertainty, in the moments when you're not quite one thing or another. That's where Hermes lives, and that's where you become who you're meant to be. So the next time you feel caught between worlds, between jobs, identities, versions of yourself, remember this: you're not lost. You're at the threshold, and Hermes is there with you, not to give you the answer, but to remind you, the in-between is not a place to escape. It's a place to inhabit, because that's where the real work happens. That's where you learn who you are beneath all the masks. That's where transformation begins.